And welcome back to another episode of Philadelphia Eagles Talk with Geoff and Matt. As it's been a long time, really long time, since we've had to talk about an Eagles loss. And as far as Jalen Hurts starting and actually finishing the game, it's been over a calendar year since the Eagles have actually lost a football game. So, are we going to be able to do this today? I mean, it's been a while since we've talked about an Eagles loss. Welcome in, Matt.
They're due.
And,
they're due.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Look, they're due, number one. So they're due
They
for a
were due.
loss. Right? They're due for a loss. If you put it into perspective, this is the final week of my preseason schedule. Like it's week 2 of October that teams really start to reveal themselves. And if you look around the league, what else happened this week? The Bills get surprised by the Patriots. The Browns, right? Did the Browns end up winning in Minnesota? No, they ended up losing that one late. But a couple of huge upsets, right? The Titans win. So a lot of weird games.
Weird weekend.
Teams don't know. Yeah, teams do not know what they are yet. So the whole can the Eagles play 2 halves of football? It's going to happen. It's just not going to happen yet. And that's what caught them again. You know, like you tack on stupid penalties on top of not being able to play 2 halves, and you get what you get. Essentially, is where I'm at with that game.
Yeah, another game of. I guess this one you could almost call, rather than the last 2 being a tale of 2 halves. This one, I guess the Eagles showed slightly more improvement because it was a tale of 3 quarters and then one horrible fourth quarter where the defense completely collapsed and the offense couldn't do anything again. Just complete stall offense.
Yeah, so the big thing, I think, the big story of this game, you know, we know the offense isn't clicking in all cylinders. So, okay, A.J. Brown gives up on a play. That's the way it looked like to me. He says he didn't see the ball. I don't know, but that's like preseason football. The really interesting thing to me was Vic Fangio being completely outcoached by Peyton in that last quarter. Completely outcoached. They couldn't do anything. And that team just started driving with momentum on all things. Like, so that was disheartening. I don't know if the Eagles got a little cocky on defense. Like, you know, if there's any loss in the season though that you want to take, this is the one. You're out of the division. You beat the Rams, you beat the Buccaneers, you took care of the games that you needed to have the most. And maybe they just didn't have that little extra edge to pull them through this game when things got a little dicey. So if it's a loss to the Broncos, okay, that's the best possible loss you could have. So we'll see. That's my overall take on it. They had a chance to win it, though. Of course.
I guess unlike the Bills game last night, which was basically a close game the entire way through, the Patriots just kind of held in there the whole game and a little bit of back and forth. It was close. It wasn't like, you know, either team had, like the Bills had a big lead. That's the part that really sticks in your craw with Eagles loss is you had a 17-3 lead in the fourth quarter. And freaking blew the game.
All for naught.
You know. So, you know, that was going to come back and bite them at some point because they've been playing this Jekyll and Hyde all year. And this was the week. And I was close. I mean, you guys might remember, you know, watch the last episode. I was struggling trying to figure out, you know, not only what the score would be, but I was really contemplating picking the Broncos, even though in our preseason picks I picked the Eagles to win. I just couldn't do it because the Eagles just kept finding ways to win. But I really really wanted to pick the Broncos. I just couldn't do it. So it didn't surprise me necessarily that the Eagles lost, just the way that they lost. You can't have a 14-point lead going into the fourth quarter and lose. That's just inexcusable. Broncos are a good team, but the Eagles, you know, should have won the game. That's the part that really sucks. Lost, you know, we'll talk about a couple more injuries that happened in the game, and including one that was noted today, which I'm not sure you're aware of yet, but I'll bring it up here momentarily. Just a lot of, you know, some calls that didn't go the Eagles' way. I thought the refereeing in the fourth quarter was horrible. Missed couple of them they could have pass interferences they could have called on Goddard.
I thought those were bull. Look, you can't put it in the refs' hands. But
I'm not saying the Eagles lost because of the refs. I'm just saying.
But those 3 consecutive pass interference calls that should have been there 3 times in a row against the guy defending Goddard. It may have been a different player at the time, but that should have been 3 penalties right in a row. They called the second one, but the first one was holding. They called the second one, and they didn't call the third one.
All 3. Whole unit. You can see the ref in the foreground, and you see the guy like holding on to Goddard's jersey so much it's stretching out. Usually, don't miss those. Totally didn't throw it.
No, so that was kind of ridiculous. The way they picked up the flag on the intentional grounding.
Yeah, another one.
Yeah, they pointed out that the receiver was there, but I thought it had to meet like more than just that criteria. Like that ball never made it back to the line of scrimmage. So I thought even if the receiver's there, it's got to make it back, but maybe not. Maybe that's like
that's a rule. That is in the rule. That is in the rule. That's in the rule. And then I know we have a little bit of a different opinion on the Bond play, but it's like we don't have referees that are robots out there. You have to have a feel of the game. What happens if that guy wrestles out of the grasp of Makuba and gets an extra yard that they need to get the first down to ice the game? So Bond comes in just to make sure he's not going to get that extra yard and break the tackle. And a half a second late on a hit, I'll agree to that. But you can't throw the flag there. You just cannot throw that flag. I don't blame Bond for that one bit. I just don't. Don't blame him. That's just a boneheaded call by the referees. Getting involved in a game and the critical part of the game that they just need to have a feel for the game. Was he half a second late on the hit? Yes. Was there any intent behind it? No. His intent was to make sure the guy was going to be down on a play where if he got stretched for another yard or two, the game would have been over.
Right. And it wasn't helmet to helmet. It wasn't anything else like egregious like that. So you can make the argument.
So I just that call was freaking bogus too. And that's the type of play where even if it was against the Eagles, swear to God, I could honestly say this. If that was against the Eagles, I would not have been screaming for a penalty flag because of a late hit. Because the guy's clearly just trying to make sure, in this case would have been, in my hypothetical example, that they're making sure the Eagle guy's down, doesn't break the ankle tackle. So, just bullshit call. So anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on the rest because the Eagles put themselves in the situation, which I think you were about to say, Matt, where they left it up to a stupid, some non-calls by the refs. So I don't blame the refs. The Eagles put themselves in that situation. And credit the Broncos for rallying. They got a good coach. They got a good young team there, a lot of good players. We said during the pregame podcast that Denver's a really solid team. They have a good defense. They have a good offense. Matt, your guy freaking was a huge factor. The guy you pointed out, that linebacker. He had like another 2 sacks, I think, in the game. I played another good game. What's his name again? Do you remember off the top?
Nick Benito.
Right, Benito.
Nick Benito.
Yeah, played really well. What's that?
No, I think we have a delay. My call and you. So, yeah, Nick Benito. Yep.
Benito. Yeah.
Got some latency due to the Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So, Matt predicted the Eagles to win 27-23. I predict the Eagles to win 28-27. Eagles ultimately lost the game 21-17. So now this is the news that I'm not sure you heard about, Matt, but we may now have an answer as to why Barkley only got 1 rush in the second half.
Yeah, I remember he got hurt on the one play where he got up and it was like, oh, he looked like he tweaked something, and then didn't get like helped off the field or anything, but I knew which play he got injured on. And I saw the questionable mark on him today on the fantasy roster. So what do you got? What's the official word?
Oh, you did? Okay. There's no official word on far as the extent of the injury other than it is a knee injury. And had the Eagles had a practice today, because they didn't, they'll be practicing tomorrow, but had they been practicing today, he would not have practiced. So with a short week, we'll see if Barkley's going to be out there Thursday. Also, Landon Dickerson's got an ankle injury. I'm at the point now where with Dickerson that they should just let the guy, I wouldn't play Dickerson this week. I wouldn't play him.
I wouldn't either. Let him heal. Save him.
The guy is his own worst enemy. He's out there battling God knows how many injuries. And he's a warrior. We all know that. But damn it, just give the guy a freaking game off.
Yeah,
I would not play him this week, even if he wants to play, which he's going to want to.
Well,
so Dickerson's still he's still hurt. We also, and I don't know if it was on the podcast, Matt, that I mentioned that I thought what's his name might still be hurt because of his back injury they had late last year, and that is Juergens. Like Juergens, and during the game I saw him kind of like grabbing on his back and stuff because I don't know if it was on the podcast, but I remember talking to someone. Maybe it was on our podcast. You could tell me if you remember that I was speculating whether Juergens still injured because the line has not been that great this year. And I speculated that Juergens might be still fighting his back injury that he had during the end of last season. And sure enough, they have come out and said that he's got a back situation still. So,
which is a big deal. That's a big deal.
It's a huge deal for a center, especially. So the Eagles line, and you got Lane, who made it through the game healthy for the first time in a couple weeks. Well, at least we think he did. At least he didn't leave the game. He's probably still banged up, but I mean, let's just say that 3 out of our 5 starting offensive linemen, and one of them's, Steen, are banged up. And that is why Barkley's struggling to run the ball. That's why the pass protection hasn't been that good. I mean, how many sacks did Denver have? I didn't look it up, but I think Hurts got sacked at least like 3 or 4 times, didn't he?
I mean, Benito had 2, so probably 3. Yeah, 3 or 4. I don't know what the final stat line was. But definitely pressured enough, and it's just Denver has a good defense, though. So that, the whole offensive struggle against the Denver team, that's not the story of the game for me. The story of the game is, wow, Vic Fangio let that Denver offense spring to all-pro life in the fourth quarter.
After shutting them down for 3. After shutting them down for 3 quarters, yeah.
Yes. So that was what was weird to me because the defense didn't lose anybody. They had the same starters that they had in the fourth quarter that they had in the rest of the game. Nobody was injured. They were getting a decent pass rush and pressure early with Ojomo and Al-Jawari. He actually had some interesting plays where he was making some impact. So I don't know. That one's just a weird. I don't know what happened there, but Vic, that's on you in the defense for this one, I think. Especially knowing. I mean, you're watching the game too. From the defensive coordinator's position. So you're paying attention to these Eagles starters going down. And if you know that they're having to change, their game plan up, it's like, come on, D, where's the rallying of the defense? Let's go. They should not have let Denver come back in that game. My F is for the defense on this.
Especially at home. It wasn't even on the road.
Yeah, 100%. Where'd you go? Just unreasonable to me.
So, by the way, 6 sacks for Denver.
6. We're 3 to 4. I guess home turf makes us
2.5 sacks. 2.5.
If it wasn't Benito. Yeah. Yeah. So not good overall. By the way. Well, all the more reason to rest Landon Dickerson because he's our backup center. If Juergens goes down, Dickerson's the backup center. So let Dickerson have the week off. Let him heal up, and then if you need Juergens to take a week off, then put Dickerson at the center. But they should figure this stuff out now while it's early, before we get into these games versus Dallas, any of these other contenders. I mean, we got through that big meaty part of the schedule, wins. So rest him up, pull the old questionable, and yep, he's not going to suit up today because we just need him to rest because the wins are bye week. Isn't it later?
I think it's week 10. So in between the bye, we got Giants, the Vikings, the Giants, and then you have then the juggernaut part. Second part of the schedule comes up when you got the Packers and the Lions. So I think our bye week somewhere around
Packers. I think are
maybe those. What's that?
Lions will be tough. Lions will be tough. No.
Yeah. So you got Barkley, you got Dickerson, both nicked up. You got Juergens nicked up. Dickerson's beyond nicked up. He's probably should not be playing. We gotta wonder now about Barkley's knee. But yeah, that's the other thing I want to talk about is he only had 6 carries the whole game. So I want to get your thoughts on this. So do you think that the Eagles and Sirianni and the coaching staff buckled to the pressure and just obviously not just buckled to the pressure, but really the pendulum went from maybe running the ball too much instead of passing it. Now they just passed it too much and hardly ran it. Now you wonder if Barkley's injury had something to do with that, but they only had 6 rushes for Barkley the entire game.
That's fine. That matches what they did all of last year. Get ahead with 2 scores, run Barkley in the second half. And the only problem was this game, we didn't have any Barkley in the second half.
Yeah, because
that's the problem.
I'm not going to make much of that as I potentially was with Barkley was not, nursing a knee injury. But the fact that he was, I don't think there's really much to say about that now. I think they were just probably protecting Barkley.
I think they would have come out in that second half and sopped that game away, run the clock down with Barkley healthy, period. And that would have matched all their success last season. So I think that's it. Who can complain about the Eagles' first half on both sides of the ball? There's zero complaints.
That was the most accurate I've seen Hurts throw the ball in a long time, maybe since the Super Bowl.
Dropping dimes to Smith, They were on. They were clicking. And then they just, it's just it was almost like they couldn't think on the fly. All right, if we have time, we're going to do this. And they're all preparing for that until Barkley gets hurt. And then they're like, wait a minute, we didn't have any backup plan. And I'm like, well, don't scrap the plan. Run Shipley, run Dillon. That's why you're stocked at this running back position. So, they did go into the Andy Reid style pass. Yeah, exactly. So run the game. You've got, I don't care what situation your offensive line is in. They definitely get injured less or have to deal with less of their injuries that they're fighting when they are moving forward and putting their weight forward. That's fine. Do that. When you're pass blocking, that's when you're going to get eaten if you're battling and stuff. So put the power in the offensive line, run that ball. Even if Barkley's hurt, that's the only difference I would have made is just stick to the game plan that you have as a team, knowing that the running the ball, because we've seen Shipley break off big runs too. Run Shipley. Dude's young and fresh. Run the fucking shit out of him. That's what I would have done.
And Dillon's a grounded town guy too.
Yeah. Yep. And just manage just kill that clock, Kill that clock. Don't give them time to even get back in the game. That's where I think they lost it. So the big loss to me on this one is the coaching. I think they didn't have a good plan in the second half, and especially the fourth quarter.
I think they had 5 straight 3-and-outs, something like that. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
But I think I read that, or Rube said that in his, Reuben Frank there said that in his observations. Just totally stalls. It's amazing how this offense could look so good and then just suddenly can't move the ball. One of the other things was a critical penalty, and it was a legit penalty. Was on the critical 4th down play when the Eagles went for it, 4th and 4, I think it was. And Hurts actually went deep on play, and Barkley didn't set before the play went off. It was a legit call. Barkley did not set. And, Devontae Smith made an amazing catch down the field. Would have set the Eagles up at about the 20-yard line. All for naught because of another penalty. Just, it's just – I don't want to blame it on Sirianni, but it's he preaches discipline. What does he say? Tough, discipline together or whatever. Tough, detailed together. You always saying that? Well, the Eagles were not disciplined. They're detailed.
No.
Yeah, at all.
That's maybe what this loss is all about, is getting back to the attention to detail, because now they've been stung in the butt with one that they should have won. And how did they lose it? The attention to detail part. That play alone would have given us an opportunity for another touchdown, but certainly a field goal. And then we're not in this crappy situation with the Broncos. So, that was huge. And it's like it's such a basic rule. I mean, that rule is as basic as the Cardinal player last night that just fumbled the ball away at the 1 yard line again, like as he's breaking the plane. Another player that's just like, nope, gonna toss this away. I have no idea how that is not.
How does that still happen? Because even going way back when D-Jax did it, how many times do they show that on replay? You think it would resonate with these players? Like, okay, let me make sure I'm in the end zone, not pull a Deshaun Jackson, be dogging it. And it still happens. We had Jason Taylor do it last year, right? Didn't he do it on a long touchdown run? Jason Taylor, the Indy, the Colts did the same thing. And then this guy in the Cardinals is like, dude, what?
Yeah.
Why?
John,
your point is perfect. It's like, what the hell are you doing? You can't take one more step before celebrating. You're that anxious?
Right. And it's as simple as the illegal shift, too. I'm like, two of you are moving. And when they were both moving together, they were both near each other. So they could both see that neither one was set. So it's like, okay, two players in motion. That seems pretty simple. The way I understood it by the refs was like two players in motion. So both have to set before they can hike the ball. And they just never set.
Nope.
So frustrating.
And it was such a critical play. And Smith made such a great, it was a great throw by Hurts and a great catch. It really would have set the Eagles up perfectly. First down inside around the 20-yard line, and all for naught. Another dump penalty.
Here's the thing, though. This is why I can't stand, and this is why I took a strong stance on AJ coming out on social media. When you have to deal with all that crap during the week, you miss the little attention to detail moments because you're focused on all this other bullshit that somebody starts. So it's like, AJ, shut the fuck up, play your football, and we win. We win. Does anyone feel better today because we threw for a bunch of yards and AJ had catches and Smith had catches over 100 yards? Does anyone feel better? No, because we fucking lost.
We caught
Sorry for the swearing, but obviously my soul's being punched.
Because we lost.
Yeah.
No, it's frustrating. That was a frustrating loss.
Get your shit together. Attention to detail wins games. Yeah. Yeah. Attention to detail wins games. It's not on Nick Sirianni. It's on all this other BS that the players brought into this week. I'll put it there. And AJ, I'm talking to you. You're not listening to me, but I'm pointing a finger at you.
Well, there's definitely
when the team has to focus on other stuff, you don't win.
There's definitely a delay in our back and forth here, so I apologize to the audience who might be, Matt and I were stepping in, so we don't really realize we are. But this is more of a delay we typically have. But yeah, I mean, AJ needs to zip it. And, I initially saw the video. I think I sent it to you, and it definitely doesn't, again, he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt for what it looks like.
And not a good one because fired up.
Or running half-assed on that deep play, because Hurts threw a perfect ball. If he kept running, he would have been right. That would have been right on him. But AJ busted his ass out of there, and then the second half of that route, he just kind of was like, oh, the ball's coming. So AJ, they asked him about it, and he did say that he thought that he just, lost the tracking of it, so he didn't follow the tracking. So I don't know. It just doesn't look good, especially when AJ's opening his mouth. Just doesn't look good. Are you still with us? No, we're not. We lost Matt, so hopefully he'll jump back on. But just, what I'm saying is it just doesn't look good with AJ because of what he said. It's debatable whether or not he dogged the second half of that route or if he, in fact, just did lose the tracking of the ball and then caught it late. And then by that point was, had to try to catch up to it. But I thought the throw from Jalen was right on. So anyone saying that Jalen overthrew him, that ball was not overthrown. Had AJ, for whatever reason, whether he was dogging it or did lose the tracking, regardless, that ball was right on the money. So that also that would have iced the game as well. So that's why it was so frustrating, because the Eagles had that game in hand, and then had even when it was getting out of hand, they had times in which they could have made plays to ice the game anyway. even though they were kind of losing it defensively. Speaking of defense, one of the other things I wanted to point out until Matt jumps back on with us is Mitchell. I thought Kenyon Mitchell is getting a little bit of some heat for not having that good of a game. Sutton, number one, is a good wide receiver. Give me a second here. I think Matt chiming in. So Matt's trying to jump back on. Apologize, we lost him, but he's going to try to get back in. Internet's having some issues down there. Sutton is the reason why, to me, you should be throwing the ball to A.J. Brown more, because Mitchell was on him. I didn't see him getting burnt. He was right there, and Sutton was just using his body. He's one of the bigger, more physical receivers in the league, and he was using his size to his advantage, and he pulled those passes down. But, Mitchell was right there on every single one of them. So, sometimes you just got to tip your cap to the wide receiver, and that's the case. I don't think Mitchell had a bad game at all, but certainly Sutton won those battles, and you just give him credit, just give him credit. So we're about to get into the player grades segment, but we don't have Matt back yet. Hopefully he'll be able to jump back on here shortly. Trying to think what else I want to talk about in the game. I came away from that game. I was expecting the Eagles to lose one of these games, honestly, because they were just, this Jekyll and Hyde is always going to catch up on you at some point. But for it to be this one in a game that they had in hand is what's the frustrating part. They're Jekyll and Hyde, but this is a game you got a lead like you had heading into the fourth quarter. You got to win that game at home, especially at home. So that's just a game that, hope doesn't come back and bite you in the ass. It was a non-conference game, so that sort of helps in a way. They still haven't lost an NFC conference game yet. But it still could play a role in the tiebreakers at some point in the season. So, at the towards playoff time. So, and of course it gets, the Commanders a game closer in the division. And a game you should have won. And the Eagles should be 5-0 heading into this game against the Giants. Now, we'll get a little bit of a break in the schedule here because you have the Giants twice and the Vikings in between. And the Vikings still don't know really what they're going to do at quarterback. You got Wentz, who's playing okay, getting him some wins. But from what I heard, I think the Vikings are on a bye next week, and I believe they're going to try McCarthy might come back for the Eagles game. So that's going to be an interesting game to see what happens there. The Eagles will be at home with that game. And the Vikings, the Eagles have owned that team. So really should have 3 wins in a row here. The Eagles should be 7-1, after these 3 games. So we'll see if they're able to do that. You can't lose to the Giants. There's just, that team's just hapless. Looks like we have Matt back. So, Matt, I'm just about to head into the player grades. I was just talking about the fact that the Eagles should, as they're heading into the cushier part of the schedule, really the only cushy part of the schedule the entire year, Giants, Vikings, who they always beat, and we're not sure who the quarterback will be. Is it going to be Wentz, who's not playing that great, but playing well enough to, get him some wins? Or I'm hearing McCarthy's going to be back after their bye week, so that'll be for the Eagles game in a couple weeks. So either way, the Eagles have owned the Vikings. They have that game at home. So Giants, Vikings at home, and then Giants. I think it's the Giants, right? Isn't it Giants twice? Over the next 3 weeks,
Giants, Vikings, Giants.
Yeah. So, So they should be 7-1. And I was just talking about how, the frustrating part of that game yesterday was the fact that they had that game in hand at home, and that's what's frustrating is you blow a game that you should have won. I also got into a little bit about Kenyon Mitchell, people saying he didn't have that good of a game. I'm like, look, sometimes you just got to tip the cap. It's not like he was burnt. He was fought on most of those passes by a guy who's, taller than him, bigger than him. Sometimes, Sutton's a physical, good receiver, and he won those battles. Sometimes you just tip the cap. I wouldn't say Mitchell had a bad game. I I would say that he lost the battle to Sutton. Yeah, if you want to say that, sure. But I thought Mitchell was there and he had him covered, and the guy just outbodied him and used his size and made those catches. So I tip the cap to Sutton is what I do.
Same here. I agree.
What is your take on that?
No, I agree completely. Quinyon Mitchell, he has one game against the guy that played very, very well, made no mistakes on his end, and Bo Nix threw that ball.
Looks like Matt is again having some Wi-Fi issues. Matt, if you're still there, we lost you. So I don't know. This might be just Philadelphia Eagles talk with Geoff for the second half of the show. I'm sure Matt's going to try to get back on here, but Matt, if you can hear me, we lost you again. See if you can jump back on, and we're going to get into player grades. So getting the player grades, like the reason why I was talking about Mitchell is I'm not going to give him, D or whatever else some people are thinking he didn't play too well. I thought he, I would probably give him a B. I thought he still played well. He just got beat. He just got cut the ball. Maybe I can't give him a B because he lost those battles. But I'm certainly not going to bury Mitchell. He's the least of our problems on defense. The running game is the issue with our defense that's most concerning to me. The Eagles have not been able to stop the run. And Dobbins had a good game rushing the ball. And pretty much every team has had their way rushing the ball against the Eagles this year. That is my biggest concern on defense. I'm not really that concerned about our pass defense, although Ringo is still very, very inconsistent, if not good at the other cornerback spot. He's definitely – I don't trust him, quite honestly. But do we have another answer there? Right now, I don't know if we really do. Adoree Jackson, he got the start over Adoree Jackson. I think Jackson was healthy enough to play, but they went with Ringo, and I don't know. We might see Jackson back in there next week because Ringo didn't do anything for me to, to suggest that he's ready to start again. So let me just check to see what's going on here. All right, Matt's going to Matt's having internet issues, so he's not going to be back for the rest of the show. So I will say goodbye for Matt. Let me just give him a quick response. All right, so player grades, we're not going to get Matt's, unfortunately. But mine, there was nobody that played in A. I thought if there was one, I can't even give it to Hurts because he got sacked too much. I thought his pocket presence was not all that great. I thought he threw the ball really well. So I'll put Hurts at a B. He looked really good, though, in the first half, especially throwing the ball. And even in the second half, he threw some really good passes. But his pocket presence, I thought, was lacking in that game. He took some sacks and didn't really move around inside the pocket as well as I've seen him before. I don't think there's anybody that would grade it A for the Eagles in the game that I could think of off the top of my head. Maybe Dallas Goedert. I'd probably give him an A. He might be the only one. B's, again, I said Hurts. I don't know if there's anybody else that would give a B. Well, sorry, the other A would be Devontae Smith. Sorry about that. I can't forget him. So two A's would be Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. They had great games. B, it's hard for me to even find a B. Alzolari, I thought, played very well. Especially for a guy who's played all season. I thought he came in there and did pretty well. Got a little bit of pressure. He's got to step up because we're so thin. Talked about it last episode. We're so thin on the defensive end that we need some guys to step up. So probably give him a B. Zadarius Smith, I thought, played pretty good. Maybe I'll give him a B. But the run defense, where's Jalen Carter and where was Jordan Davis this game? They were gutting them up the middle again, running the ball. Carter especially is concerning to me because he has not been the factor. I know he's getting double teamed a lot, but he's not. I know he's playing injured also. Speaking of playing injured, another guy who's got an injured shoulder, pretty much he's had all season. Even before the season started, he was nursing a shoulder. So that's bothering him. He's not playing 100%. But the Eagles' run defense has not been playing that great. I thought Bond played a pretty good game again. It's rare that he doesn't play at least a B game. I don't know, man. I just the only one that I would give an F is just the overall defense in the fourth quarter. That was definitely an F performance. Couldn't stop them at all, and allowed them to just drive down the field, and gave up the 2-point conversion too. So they couldn't stop them really at all in the second quarter. I mean, in the last fourth quarter. And then the Eagles offense, they get an F2 in the fourth quarter. Had their chances, and penalties after penalties kept holding them back from plays that they actually made, in clutch situations to try to hold off the Denver comeback, and then certainly just ran out of time, and then the refs didn't help out at the end either. But the Eagles put themselves in that situation, where the refs became an impact. Had an impact at the end there, because there's definitely some penalties that should have been called that weren't. And then there was the penalty again, like I said, on Bond on that third down play that was just killer. 15 yards, gave them the automatic first down, allowed them to run more time off the clock. That was brutal. That was a brutal penalty at that point. So we are right over the half-hour mark. Again, for Matt, who had to depart early due to Wi-Fi issues, we will be back with a pregame episode on Wednesday night because the Eagles play early this week. They can hopefully shake this game off, get it out, flush it down the system, and get back on the road here against the Giants on Thursday night. Giants who just lost to the hapless Saints, who gave them their first win of the season. Jackson Dart, young quarterback, and the Eagles should have their way with this guy. I would think Vic is going to do all kinds of things to confuse him, force him into making mistakes, and the Eagles should have their way. But, man, I tell you, how confident can you be when there's such a Jekyll and Hyde team? You got to hope that this Eagles team snaps out of it here and puts together a full 4 quarters. So with that, I'm going to let you go. For Matt, this is Geoff. Fly Eagles Fly. Make sure you like and subscribe. Be back here on Wednesday to check out our pregame podcast previewing the New York Giants game. Till then, Fly Eagles Fly. Hey, we may have lost, but you know what? As always, let's go Birds. We'll catch you next time. Take care.